My name is Rebecca Michelle, and I have two majors. They're biology and psychology. I guess I am very appreciative of the opportunity that I've been given. I don't know if I would have been involved in research like I am now if it wasn't for the McNair program. I am very, very busy ever since I joined the McNair program, and it's a good kind of busy. I feel like I am being progressive.
That are a first generation born because they have the really dark beard you incorporated into. But after she came to talk to me about her interests, and so just out of her own interest, with no class credit or no anything like that, she started coming to my lab meetings. She started thinking about some of these really tough scientific questions on her own.
So I was involved with more like observing in a lab for a little while, and she was just like, do you want to do your own study? You could be involved in the McNair program. So I think that's a real example of how much she took an interest in me and leading me towards certain directions. And I've learned a lot. I think she has the perfect balance of giving me independence and supporting me.
The mentor-mentee relationship in science is so important, especially because it's the last bastion of the apprenticeship kind of system, where you can learn about science through reading, you can learn about science through talking, but it's in the doing that you really learn the scientific process and how to think and how that all works. And so it's in the lab, at the bench, Rebecca and I working together through a process of how do I look at this data, how do I do this experiment, how do I cut this brain into sections that's going to allow me to answer the question that I want to answer.
I'm doing another one today. She will never give me the answers to anything, but she will always, like if I have a question, she will kind of lead me in a certain direction. So I kind of felt like I was doing it all by myself, but she really gave me that support that I needed.
I think Rebecca is going to be well prepared for any future that she decides to pursue, because all of the things that I've seen in her, starting from just coming to see me out of the blue because this was something she was interested in, pursuing that really doggedly and consistently, and she's whip smart, and she got really right into the literature at a level that I wasn't expecting, honestly, and she did so well with that I gave her own project once she came into the McNair program. And anything you ask her to do, she's game for, and I think all of those qualities will take her very far.
Well, right after graduation, I am planning on going to a post-bac program. I applied to the Hot Metal Bridge program in Pittsburgh. So I want to prepare myself for graduate school and kind of amp up my, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for, my competitiveness, I guess.
I was mentoring Tomas Hernandez. Tomas was just an exceptional student. He was asking all these incisive and creative questions, and he was the kind of student that would stay after class and have follow-up questions and sort of walk with me, and so we had these lively discussions. Third study. We now have a series of about 6 different studies that we've done with Tomas, and many of the studies have been at his suggestion to add certain things. So we added in looking at stigma in guns. We were looking at symbolic racism and mental illness, and also disgust. And he was the first person to sort of bring this up in the lab.
Symbolic racism.
And then this was something that became important for us to look at. States, right? This was the one that we asked for. And here's Tomas, like throughout the class, just sort of spot on and bringing up really important things, really keeping the class going in a way, because a class is only as good as the students that you're teaching, and he really created a wonderful environment there, and that to continue on into our lab.
My name is Marie Joseph. My major here at UMass Boston is psychology. There were many times when I just wanted to quit going to school. I mean, I remember 3 months into my freshman year, I was like, I'm quitting, this isn't for me. And I've had so many wonderful teachers and professors, especially Dr. Donaldson and Dr. Abby Eisenhower, who were the 2 best people that I could have ever met. And they told me, just keep going, it's gonna get better. And because of them, I'm finally at the end and I get to walk across the stage, and it's been great. And I got to know Roxanne, who's been awesome with McNair. She's been on top of me to get materials in, and I really appreciate her for that. And she was able to talk to me, and she helps me understand what I needed to do, and they've all been just such great support. And I don't think I'd be here if it wasn't for these three women.
My name is Rose Joachim, and I'm majoring in biochemistry at UMass Boston. Biochemistry to me is everything. I love it. Last summer I went to an internship research program at the University of Texas. It was great, and with the McNair program also, like, I go to conferences with them, so I see others in their environment. I've presented with them, and I went to a SACNAS conference. I presented there my research during the summer. With them, I feel like I am becoming a greater scientist.
So essentially, we take the students to the next level rather than simply getting satisfied with bookish knowledge. We are taking them to the experimental level and teach all the advanced techniques so that they can become researchers. Rose project deals with sclerotization of insect cuticles.
And sclerotization is basically when a fly lays an egg, it becomes a larvae, and the larvae becomes a cuticle, and it's hardening until it becomes another fly. So I'm looking at the pathway, that cycle, the enzymes that are involved in that pathway.
Rose's work is a very important contribution to this process. She is very, very interested and motivated, highly motivated to pursue graduate education, and I strongly stand by her and wish her all the best.
Right now I'm applying for grad school, so I have to take a year off to wait for the answers and interviews and all that, but I am going to grad school for biochemistry.
My name is Sabrina Osset, and I'm a psychology major here at UMass Boston. So right now I'm studying at Victoria University of Wellington in New Zealand. So for my final project, I worked in Professor Eisenhower's lab, and we looked at what factors help autistic children better transition into early childhood.
She's done a lot of work for us over the past year, and lots of data entry, data management, and data coding for us. Specifically, she's been working on a project called the Smooth Sailing Study.
It's been a great experience. It's an amazing lab, tons of knowledge in the meetings, and it's really just an ideal setting to work at.
There's so much personal experience that she can actually bring to a brainstorming session that I think comes from her unique experience, and that really enriches our academic collaborations as well.
So after graduation, I plan on taking at least a year off to work in clinical settings. I enjoyed my time working. I kind of want to pique my other interests to see what it is exactly that I'm interested in before I dive headfirst into a PhD program.
My name is Chris Miley Paul, and I'm majoring in chemistry. I'm originally from the Dominican Republic. I was born and raised there. I came here when I was 11. My mom and my dad never went into college, so they made sure that we always had education and encouraged us to go to college, especially here, because they call this the land of the opportunities. They always made sure that we had the right education and wanted us to go further than they did in life.
Chris Miley and I met last May, I think, when I arrived here as a postdoc and she started her research work in our lab. What we did is established a small library of compounds that should work against Alzheimer's disease. So we did the chemical work, and we have partners in the biology department testing our compounds, and that's what's undergoing right now.
Right now I'm interested in medicinal chemistry because that's what I'm doing, but I would also like to work in environmental chemistry. I would love to do both of them, medicinal chemistry and environmental chemistry, but I'm more towards the side of environmental chemistry. I think I'm gonna go with that.
She did a good job in her studies so far, and I would wish her to pursue her goals, and I think that she can achieve what she wants to do, which is probably doing a master's, going to grad school. She has the capabilities to do this.
Right now I'm gonna apply to do my master's here at UMass, and later on I'm gonna be applying to do my PhD in a different school.
My name is Christopher Mercedes, and I am a biology major at the University of Massachusetts, Boston. For my final project, we studied the enzyme polyphenol oxidase in barley, and polyphenol oxidase is basically the enzyme that's responsible for the browning that you notice in fruits and vegetables whenever you damage the tissue. I work in the emergency department at North Shore Medical Center in Salem Hospital. I've always been interested in the human body, so I figured if I study biology, I can get more in-depth knowledge on that and then figure out what I was going to do after I graduated.
Basically, what we're looking at is we're looking for changes in the absorption.
I've been pushing him towards going to graduate school, getting his PhD, and also coming back to be one of the educators that are at UMass Boston or other schools. Chris was one of the students that was like one of the leaders. He, whenever you see Chris, you almost have to smile. You know, he gives you a big smile, you give a smile back.
He's always been a guiding hand for me, always been there. When school was getting tough, when assignments were getting hard, he was always there to give me moral support. I've known him since day one of freshman year, when I joined his community, in the freshman success community, and he's basically just introduced me to many aspects of the university that I probably wouldn't have known. My plan is to be a doctor as well as be a researcher. I don't want to just limit myself to one or the other. I've noticed that I've jumped from many jobs, and I feel like I couldn't limit myself to just doing one thing for my entire life.
Basically, what we'll be taking is all
One of the things with Chris is that he has so many choices that what he can do. He could probably be a jazz musician if he wanted to be.
I mean, I love the sciences. I think they're so broad that there's anywhere that you could take it. Like, you don't necessarily have to do one thing. You could do multiple things and interrelate multiple things that interest you. That's why I did the sciences.